Hi, my name is Pamela Deneuve, and I always talk about stress and I talk about depression because these are the things that really impede lawyers when they law practice. But right now, what I want to talk about is the stress and identify what happened to you and perhaps even your family members, what that's affecting your law practice right now, today. As we know, as everyone has seen on the news, that there were unprecedented events that happened in Washington, D.C., in the light of protesters for our current president. And I know a lot of my audience, you are in other countries and you do see ongoing chaos maybe in your countries. But here in the United States, we have a certain expectation, we have certain um, ideals, we have certain expectations. And what happened yesterday was unprecedented. It was undefinable. It was jolting. It was scary. It was uncertain. It was chaotic. It was unstable. It was divisive. And it was shocking. Now, what happens to you when something like this happens, when you observe something like this? You know, you could have been watching TV, or you could have come home and you saw the news or someone told you about it. I want to talk about what actually happens. Perhaps you already had a busy day. Perhaps you're already stressed out because of COVID and the uncertainty of your law practice and where is life going. And this is just one more thing, maybe the straw that broke the camel's back for you. And so you are actually experiencing trauma. Our nation is experiencing trauma. But I want to talk about you and how this affects you. So when you see something, say for example, you're watching, even though you're at home and you're in the safety of your office or your home or whatever, and you're on your device or you're on your computer, and you see these horrific events happening, your body goes into fight or flight. So what happens is your mind sees what's going on, it registers alarm, and when it does, it impacts your limbic brain, which is your animal brain, which is your reptilian brain, which sees danger. It senses danger, even though there's nothing physically, your body is experiencing danger. And when your body experiences this danger, the chemicals secrete in your body that you could actually, it's just like a lion or a bear or a dinosaur is attacking you, is how your limbic, your primitive brain interprets what's going on, like you're in danger. It's saying danger, danger. And every time you feel that, and if you would notice in your body what's going on, is that you're having a fight or flight response. You're having a fight or flight response in your body due to the chemicals that are released in your body that prepare you to either run or fight. But you're still sitting there on your sofa or in your chair or in your car or in your office, and this impacts you. When these chemicals are released, these are not sustainable chemicals, because you're either going to fight and either win or die, or you're going to run and you're going to run so far and then you're going to rest. But when you're watching the same TV show or you're watching the news, every time you see this or everything it happens, it triggers that response, and more of these chemicals are going through your body. So a lot of you may be walking around like zombies and you're trying to act like nothing's wrong. You're acting like, well, it was just this that happened, now it's business as usual. No, it's not business as usual. You have had an incredible amount of chemicals pumped in through your brain that are in your body now. So how does that affect? If you're depressed, that means you're going to be more depressed. If you're hopeless, you're going to be more hopeless. If you're a workaholic, you're going to work faster or talk faster. You might be irritable. You don't want to have conversations with people. These are all things that happen when you experience trauma. And the problem, and the reason I'm here talking about this, is that when trauma happens, there are definite consequences to your body, to your health, which will affect your work, it will affect your productivity, and it will also affect your family relationships. So, what can you do? Well, number one, maybe you've had enough of the news. You know what's going on. Maybe you need to take a break for a day or two. You want to normalize your body. You want to get back in your body. Many of you are still in the fight or flight response, even though there's nothing to fight or flight. And when your body gets used to having that level of those kind of chemicals in your body, it wants more of it. So it keeps going back to the news, keeps going back to look at it. It keeps looking for something. So then you might go home and have an argument with your husband or wife to keep your body in that mode. And this is when disease happens. This is when depression happens. This is when suicide, divorces, conflicts with your children, your teenagers, and you're just living one day to the next in the fight or flight mode. As lawyers, your profession is always being on the edge of some sort of controversy. So you've got to learn how to center yourself. And the first step here is that I'm talking about today is to use what happened yesterday, as an opportunity to see what happens to your body, mind, and spirit, and your mental capabilities when trauma happens. And many of you are living like this from day to day to day. You're always looking for something to give you those chemicals so you could stay in the fight or flight mode. And staying in the fight or flight mode will eventually end up with disease, compromise, death, or depression. So now's the time to recognize this. If you need to get away from the news for a couple of days, go for a walk, normalize your body. Normalize your body, and so that you can operate. You're not going to go to DC and fix the building, or there's nothing you can do right now. But to be a good, sturdy citizen and family person and employee and lawyer and working for your clients, and how you do this by normalizing your body, realizing that we were all, and I'm including myself, were affected by the trauma of yesterday. But it's our job now, because of this happened, is to recognize that this was a traumatic event, recognize that we are in trauma, recognize that many of us are grieving. Many of us are grieving. It's denial or anger or bargaining or depression. There's 7 steps in grief. You just like, how could this happen? You're angry, or you're bargaining, or you're depressed, or you accept it. So right now, what happened, but now we must go on. We must normalize our physical self before we can help anyone else. Before you can be a good lawyer, before you can be a good parent, before you can be a good husband, before you can be a good wife, before you can be a good friend, before you can serve, you must normalize yourself. And how you normalize yourself is to say, I experienced trauma. What happens when I experience trauma? When I experience something unprecedented, undefinable, jolting, or scary, chemicals come into my body and put me in the fight or flight mode. And now I still have these chemicals in your body. They don't go away overnight, but they will lessen and subside as you normalize your body, mind, and spirit. Make yourself your priority. Make your health and well-being your priority. And when you learn how to normalize your body, you will become a better lawyer, you'll become a better parent, you'll become a better human, because you're not always walking around in the stress response. I hope this is helpful.